Hello again. My name is Swami, though that's kind of a nickname. I am Bruce P. Grether, and this is my friend
Nimbas.
Nimbas.
That's my name. That's my name, and I'm sticking to it.
And he's sticking to his story, and yeah. So here we are again.
Today, look, the last time we were talking about the afterlife, so I'd like to continue that discussion, even though I think it might be kind of a redundant discussion, but that's only my opinion. So what do you think?
What I think is we barely got started.
What do you think about the afterlife?
Well, what I think is we barely got started. I don't think it's redundant at all because it's a huge subject. It seems like human beings want to believe in an afterlife. And one of my reactions to that over the years has been, I don't think anybody knows for sure what happens.
Absolutely.
When our body dies, when our brain functions cease, when we stop breathing and the body begins to decompose. Is there a soul? Where do we go? What's really interesting is how people become really attached to beliefs about that. And my reaction partly is that I think we're afraid we haven't lived enough, and so we really want to keep going and going and going. And I understand that. I'm not saying that's terrible, but I think none of us really knows. But there are a few things that we do know from human experience, that when somebody you love passes on, there seems to be a grace period in which they can visit you. Or in my own case, the only experience I've really had, other than having seen a few ghosts, which I can talk about sometime, is that I've had dreams about my late parents a few times, and it's very interesting.
I've had dreams about people who passed away, and I have seen a few ghosts as well.
Yeah, so. and I think those are subjective experiences to honor, but I don't think that they are objective facts.
Right?
Yeah, all experience is subjective. Yeah. So what do you think about it? About afterlife beyond what I said?
Well, I certainly don't know. The word could be used to describe the beyond. And you know, while you were talking there, I flashed back to being a young child, and not wanting to go to bed because I didn't want to stop playing or whatever. And you know, maybe humans feel like that. I like you said, I haven't lived enough. Life is so beautiful and sweet that we don't want to let go of it, you know, and we don't. So I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to sleep.
Right.
In a way, that's like, I don't want to die, you know?
I agree. I understand that.
Then as everything is of a piece kind of a thing, or as above, so below, everyone knows that, you could say that it's like, you know, when you go to bed at night, you'll wake up tomorrow, you say to the child, and you'll play some more. And so that's kind of like reincarnation. Again, I'm not saying it's the same thing or it proves anything, but it's like there's another day and another life and there's more. Everything goes on. Life goes on. You know? So.
And through our whole life, while we're alive in this lifetime, in this body that we happen to inhabit now, there is always another day until there isn't. You know?
Correct.
That's true. We all kind of know that, but I think we're in denial about the fact that
yes. Well, you know, I think to live comfortably and to live a sane life, you can't dwell on it.
Yeah. But this is, I have a rather radical take on it that I kind of came to through the process of really examining these things deeply when I was writing this book too. I really feel, for example, one of the things that's very important to look at is nature. Nature shows us how things work. In nature, forms arise, they change and grow, and they dissolve, they go back. And I have every reason to believe that perhaps this is the only life I have as a human being in this world. Whatever anyone else wants to believe is fine with me, but the interesting thing that the 9 realities of Stardust really reveals to me is that I am a living thing that is part of a living universe. And there is no meaningful beginning or end to me. I mean, I arise out of the living matter of the universe. My parents conceived me, but the matter that passes through my being in this lifetime as Bruce P. Grether, or you can call me Swami if you wanted.
You.
Yeah.
Interbeing.
Yes, but
Thich Nhat Hanh made that up. I didn't make that up, but I think that's a very, very good term.
It is, but I also feel, for example, that it's very dualistic to say there's before life, this life, afterlife, or reincarnation. You know, I believe in on a certain level there's consequences. We can talk about karma someday, but that's not the point yet. At this point, we're talking about afterlife. Well, I think it's all life. The universe is alive, and there's really no, even if there's a big bang, in a sense, there's a beginning to time. Okay, fine, but that's
I think
13
the Big Bang is an illusion, my opinion.
Yeah.
It just looks that way. You know, other systems, more ancient, teach that the universe pulsates. So that starts with a Big Bang and it goes to the big crunch. Science now is saying probably that it doesn't look like that's the case. That the universe was... Yeah,
anyway, science is saying that it doesn't look like it's going to crunch back, but we don't really know. I mean, it could be, I think what you're saying is that it could be this pulsation. So there was a Big Bang, but it just keeps banging, you know, and you're
and that would mean, that's like, cycle. It's like breathing.
Yeah.
It comes out and it goes in, you know, I mean, I don't want to start on another book, but Tao Te Ching, okay? It's there. Yeah. I said it. Yeah. Lao Tzu, you know, the way.
Right.
So, I mean, you can look that up online and, you know, kids, are you listening? Look up Tao Te Ching online and read it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great book, and I have dozens of translations. I have like at least
we worked on one,
or
right?
A score of translations. We have one. We did one together because Phil has some ability to parse the Chinese language a bit.
A quarter of a teaspoon of classical Chinese. Okay.
He's very humble, among other things.
Yeah.
Anyway. What I would say about afterlife is I don't think there's any before or afterlife because it's all life. You know, I would say if you're wondering about afterlife or what's going to happen when you die, go out into the forest and watch what is happening in the woods. You know, I mean, nature itself is everything is being recycled. That's
contemplating the way.
It is, according to Lao Tzu, right? Lao Tzu.
Yes, and that song. We've got to get ourselves back to the garden.
That's right.
Isn't that what we're doing?
And if you are in a garden or in a forest and you observe what's happening, you have all the entire cycle is all happening at once. Things are being born, things are growing, and things are dying back. There's no linear beginning and end. You know, even a winter garden
is of a piece.
Yeah, and nothing is really separate from anything else. So I think in a mysterious way, life and death are one. So, you know, when people focus on an afterlife, I think very easily it slips over into an aversion for this life. It often comes from a belief that this world is fallen, that you're born in sin.
Well, yes, and that's that Manichaeism.
Yeah, that there's a good and an
evil.
You're
fallen and you're bad, and that matter is bad, and all this other stuff that's just...
Spirit is good and matter is bad, whereas what I'm really focusing on a lot in the 9 realities of Stardust is that matter and spirit are the same thing, that we look at them differently.
Yes, exactly.
Just like in physics, energy and matter, E equals mc squared, you know. Einstein said energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. That's kind of mind-boggling. How exactly do we understand that?
It's a relationship.
It is, but what it's kind of like oneness. We can't even put our finger on it totally, but it tells us some things. And it tells us, for example, that matter and energy are the same thing behaving differently or viewed differently. Right, but again, imagination, look at the root words. Imagination is where magic comes from. and where images come from. You know, and human beings, can we think without images? Can we really think without language? That's another question we could talk
we
about
manipulate symbols.
We do.
I think that's whatever happened
Yeah.
to us. You know, the story in Genesis about the snake and the woman, they're talking about something, it was a breakthrough in evolution somehow.
Right.
But anyway, we don't have to go into that right now.
Well, and you know, what you said about we manipulate symbols, well, that's reality number 3. All worlds are equally real and equally imaginary, you know. Page 77.
Oh, thank you.
Is where the discussion of that begins. But, you know, the point about that is symbol manipulation. You know, here's the little symbol I created for that in the text. I have little whimsical kind of glyphs that represent each of the 9 realities. And this is not seeking to create a new religion, although I suppose you could turn it into that. But these are
we're getting away from religion. And anyone who this is a warning,
exactly,
kids.
Yes.
If you're reading this book and studying it, don't get attached to the symbols or to make a thing out of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're just tools. Would you agree with that as the author of the book?
Absolutely.
They're tools.
Yeah, and in fact, this is kind of the ancient, the motto that Socrates apparently taught: question authority and think for yourself.
Bingo.
You know, we're kind of the
Buddha
opposite
Buddha said that too
in a different way, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
and we're kind of the opposite of dogmatic believers. We're willing to question things. You know, we're
trying to get away from that.
Yes, we are, and so we're doing our best. And anyway,
that's why I'm such a wise guy.
You are wise, as I've said before.
Well, I meant a smart aleck, but anyway.
I know, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
My mother used to say, "Are you being smart?" And I'd say, "Would you rather I was stupid?"
I'm saucy. So
I know, it's bad. It's bad. You're my dear friend, and I really appreciate you going on this adventure with me. Did you ding your gong
I'm
again?
having a blast. What?
Did you ding your gong again?
Ding my gong. Nope.
Sounds like a song. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, here we go. I think we're done for now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wave to the children.
Bye, kids. Go out and play.